我应该这次是都点这个，前面都点嘴炮嘛，其他都没点。好，可以走。走吧，走吧。还可以100了 ，OK， 3个稳了，8，对，稳了。
The board will never own Groundbreaker, not while I breathe. Push on, Mardat.
转回进去，转回进去，转回进去。好了，直接冲。
What's up？
直接冲那个，直接冲最后了啦。我会直冲啊，所以中间应该都不会打斗。这个结局打完就是最后的啦，最后的结局啊。
Nice of them to leave us a few options.
这个结局打完，应该所有结局都打完了。希望我可以成功说服那个啦，那个什么索菲亚还是什么索什么亚的。我技能都有重点的，应该是可以吧？这结局会比较好吗？不知道哎，不知道最后 Phineas 的结局会是什么？如果是和解的话啦。这是我等下，我等下最后再来总结一下，这款玩完的感觉好了。它主线比我想象中短啦。我原本想说这款应该可以玩个100小，但是我好像玩大概70小就通关了。
Let's go, troops. Stellar Base counting on us.
Like a raft among the rocks.
Hey!
You
knew.
Yeah.
Well, look who it is. I'll be damned. I was prepping the studio for our announcement, and here you are as a bonus. Ah, and the wayward doctor. Are you about done with your escapades? We have faced... Haven't you heard? But that's between us. I don't know what happened. Let me...
At least that...
That... I'll admit that... Look.
All right, MSI. I'm not one for rousing speeches, but the captain needs our help. So get in there and fight.
This is nice. Calm before the storm and all that. Hope you're right about this, Captain.
这次可以和解了吧？我保存一下，我保存一下。
Captain, you've Do you imagine you're leading the icon? You're not. I have Dr. Wells in my custody. Once I've secured his cooperation, I can move forward with the program. I can repair. Fair enough. I'm giving you exactly one. Interesting that you think I'm going to die here. I believe I'm more than capable of... Fair point. I don't know how you've managed to defy the odds. By every reasonable estimate, you should be dead. Yet here you stand. I've devoted my entire life to protecting Halcyon. I'm not afraid to die in the line of duty. There isn't much of a board left, thanks to... You were always an unknown variable. I'm aware of Dr. Wells' plan. Revive some brilliant scientists and engineers from the Hope, and work... 50 or 60 years ago, I might have agreed with you. But we've passed... I appreciate your confidence, Captain. But so long as you're allied with... I haven't given up on the probe. I haven't lost control.
为何摆是什么鬼？笑死！
What? You can't be serious.
原来和解不是和解啊！
And you're about to use that copy to turn my own automechanicals against me.
Yeah.
That's actually rather clever. Congratulations, Captain. You've outplayed me.
Yeah.
I accept your terms and will return Dr. Wells to your care. I just hope you've made the right decision. The fate of the colony is in your hands now. I bid you farewell, Captain.
搞定啊！不用打什么震爆者，好不好？打三小震爆者，这样就解决了 ，easy。 嘴炮救世界啊！看不见嘞，哼。
You don't know how glad I am to see you. You must have said something to get under Akande's skin. She's gone, and I don't think she's coming back. And you... I'm all right, thanks to you. Akande wanted my cooperation. I'm quite sure she would have beat... You've broken the board's... You and I are going to have to work harder than ever to save Halcyon. I would like nothing more than to celebrate this victory. Earth has gone dark. 2 years ago, the Earth...
They haven't exactly been hands-on.
Earth is humanity's home planet, Miss Fenhill. The psychological effects of losing our...
So we've got to make do on our own. Seems to me that'll make us stronger in the end anyhow.
You're quite right. We've got no choice but to make do. We're in serious trouble, my friend. We must... We're going to need a lead... The chairman? I don't know why you let that heartless creature live, but I'll have to trust your judgment.
Yeah.
You're the best thing. We're not a cult.
Chaos Lifetime Employment Program ruined. 太爽了吧 ！Chaos on Tartarus.
The OSI teaches that everything in the universe happens according to the grand plan. But the stranger that arrived in Halcyon was an unplanned variable. From the moment he landed in Emerald Vale, his actions altered the course of history. The events on Tartarus brought about the end of the board's authority. But the board's mistakes would haunt the colony for decades to come. The damage they left behind would require the work of a generation to repair. Dr. Phineas Wells began reviving a handful of the Hope's colonists. Engineers, scientists, technicians, and intellectuals. They were among the brightest minds the Earth had ever sent out into the stars. The Hope scientists and engineers woke up in a colony descending headlong into total collapse. With no way to return to Earth, they had no choice but to band together and devote themselves to the cause of saving Halcyon. The people of Halcyon were nothing if not hardy. In the absence of the board's authority, many of the colony's settlements banded together with a single purpose in mind: survival. Life was especially hard in the years to come. Some towns dissolved by attrition and starvation, but most of them found a way to carry on.
Yeah.
In the years to come, Halcyon was forced to reckon with its newfound freedom. The board was gone, and for better or worse, the colony was responsible for its own destiny. Between MSI's worker-centric policies and the iconoclast's manpower, Sanjar and Zora were able to rally many of the Terra 2 townships to their cause. MSI's workforce swelled, and the iconoclasts enjoyed a significant surge in their ranks. The board was too distracted by infighting and internal politics to stop MSI from becoming a powerful corporation and a refuge for townships that might have fallen through the cracks. Consumed by paranoia, Lilia Hagen took Sublight Salvage in a controversial direction, openly accusing board officials of an extraterrestrial conspiracy. One day, an accident at the Groundbreaker's docking bay silenced her forever. Time would tell if her replacement could keep the Sublight family together. Over the years, the ruins of Edgewater caused irreversible environmental damage to the landscape of Emerald Vale, owing largely to the presence of toxic compounds in the town's building materials. As for Edgewater's former workers, their remains provided a source of nourishment for the region's fauna, leading to an
这个结
explosion
局
in the sprat
水
population.
岸镇还是会
Under the
死啊。
leadership of Junlei Tennyson, the Groundbreaker held firm against corporate influence. The ship's mechanical stability gave Junlei the time to educate a promising generation of engineers.
所以这个就是牺牲水岸镇的结局，
The
但
future
是
of the Groundbreaker
人都
looked
不会死
promising.
这样子。
The rediscovery of the Hope and the abandonment of the lifetime employment program forced Byzantium to come to terms with some uncomfortable realities about the state of Halcyon. While Byzantines were reluctant to surrender the luxuries they'd grown accustomed to, the board's diminished authority gave them little choice in the matter. Nearly everyone had to learn to make do with less. Some even had to get jobs. It was a dark time indeed. Your influence shifted Ellie's perspective. She finally admitted, albeit grudgingly, that she just might need other people. Sometimes. With a steady income from the life insurance payouts, she was finally able to afford a ship of her own. She hired a small crew and flew supply missions to communities on the fringe. Some of them were even legal. Life in Halcyon was sobering for Felix Millstone. The grand revolution he dreamed of never came. There was no great awakening for the colony, no celebrations in the streets. There was only the hard, desperate work of trying to repair a broken colony. Felix never had a head for numbers, but if there was labor to be done, he was there to help. Eventually, Felix realized that the work of a revolution was done with two hands. As much as he enjoyed his adventures aboard the Unreliable, the vicar, known as Max, eventually decided that it was time to move on, to live out the life he had sought so long to create. He knew there were many in the colony who carried burdens much worse than the ones he had struggled with, and he devoted himself to easing their suffering wherever he could. He only ever took up arms again to defend the defenseless. Unshackled from a lifetime of striving and fighting the universe and himself, Vicar Maximilian de Soto was finally at peace. Once the matter with the Hope colonists was resolved, Junlei bashfully asked Parvati if she'd like to join her permanently on the Groundbreaker, and Parvati enthusiastically, if somewhat awkwardly, agreed. The stories of her adventures spread across the colony, and Parvati soon found herself the center of attention. Having served as the engineer of a renowned spacecraft, tramp freighters and wildcat miners sought her out by name, and in no time, she was a fixture in the Groundbreaker's mechanical ecosystem. She and Junlei were never far apart. Nyoka returned to Monarch to take another crack at making a permanent life for herself. She formed the Charon Group, a mercenary outfit of ragtag survivalists and wilderness experts. Anyone in need of
这
a
个结局我
guide
只好
or
奇
just
那个
looking
啦
to throw back a
洛克
beer
威
and
尔
swap stories
和索
could
菲
find
亚
her camping on
他
the
们的
trail
最后
or
是怎样？
clearing an infestation. The SAM unit that accompanied you spread awareness of the product line's superior sanitation and maintenance capabilities across what was left of the colony. This led to a boost in SAM unit sales. Did you know that SAM units are the longest-lasting, toughest-acting cleaning solution in Halcyon? Minister Clark was released from house arrest, and his contact with you gave him a sense of renewed purpose and vigor. Once it became clear that no help would be coming from Earth, he threw his considerable efforts and talents into helping Halcyon manage the crisis before it. It was widely suspected that Sophia Akande was the true power behind Chairman Rockwell. However, after the riot
哦，他
from
不
Tartarus,
见了。
she was never again seen in the colony. Various theories circulated as to her fate. Some believed she boarded an interstellar ship capable of journeying to a distant colony. Others believe she died trying to escape Tartarus.
那洛克威尔嘞？
Some few suggest she fled to Monarch, where she continued to live among a small band of loyalists. There is another theory, which suggests that Sophia's encounter with you changed her, and she deliberately retreated from public view. but continued supporting the colony in secret. When Dr. Wells began reviving the Hope's colonists, he found himself with a sudden windfall of additional supplies and resources, courtesy of an anonymous donor. If Wells knew who his supplier was, he never told a soul. Chairman Rockwell served as the public face for the changes in Halcyon to come. Whenever you needed strings pulled or a voice to sell a policy change, Rockwell was only too happy to oblige. As for Dr. Phineas Wells, he spent his remaining years in his orbital lab. He eventually came to terms with his own past and was able to forgive the mistakes of his younger self by devoting his remaining years to serving the colony. In the end, Dr. Wells was able to save every scientist and engineer aboard the Hope. Over the next decade, nearly all of the Hope's remaining colonists were successfully revived. Halcyon saw a period of rapid technological and scientific advancement. Breakthroughs in dietary supplements saved the colony from starvation. Geoengineering projects and social reforms began to change the structure and character of the colony. Dr. Wells laid the groundwork for the project to save the colony, but he would never live to see the fruits of his labor. He passed away a few years later. His work was carried on by the scientists and engineers he revived. Today, Halcyon has stabilized. The people of the colony work hard to adapt to their new circumstances. Nearby colonies send aid and supplies. Life will never be easy in Halcyon, but for the first time in its history, there exists a sense of real, genuine hope about the future. And what about you, the unplanned variable in the history of Halcyon? You brought an end to the chaos on Tartarus and made Chairman Rockwell your own puppet, a role he was all too eager to play. The colony never realized you were the true power behind the new administration. By acting vicariously through agents and third parties, you controlled Halcyon from the shadows. As a result, Halcyon survived the turbulent years that were to follow. No one knows what's happened to Earth, and no one knows what the future has in store for Halcyon. All we know for certain is this: the name of the Unreliable and that of its intrepid captain will remain the subject of countless stories for years to come.
这样应该就所有结局都打完了啦。然后我稍微讲一下我玩了这样所有结局的心得好了。首先我觉得因为我本身蛮喜欢玩这种，我非常喜欢玉成余生4啊，因为它地图很大，全部都可以让我自由探索这样子。但是这款它地图不大，真的地图不大，而且可探索的地方真的不是很多，然后很多门不能开啊，我觉得很靠北，很多门不能开这样子。然后怪也蛮少的，几乎只有看到暴龙蜥，还有螳螂兽嘛，就比较强的只有这2个，其他就是一些什么破坏机器人，还有会走的那一种嘛，还有会飞的机器人，就这3种嘛，或4种这样子。对啊，怪的种类不多啊，然后人物倒是还蛮多的，还不错。对，因为毕竟，然后支线任务都还不错，我自己觉得支线任务都还不错，我蛮喜欢那些支线任务的。但是主线前面都还不错啦，只是我自己觉得它收尾的有点收太快了，就是不觉得吗？就是到拜占庭那边之后，就是极限收束感觉有点，对啊，感觉有点后继无力的感觉，就是我自己觉得没有收得很好啦，然后有一些东西也没有交代完这样子， 对啊，然后还有那个洛克威尔董事长，老实说，我真的没有感觉到，我真的没有什么就是对他没有什么感觉，就是我根本就不太认识他这个人，已经变得我傀儡了。然后克拉克也是，所以，对啊，是不错的作品啦，只是我自己觉得不都就佳作啦，佳作这样子，不是神作啦，也不是烂的啦，就佳作。然后，对，然后游戏时速有点短啦，对，真的有点短，剧情有点短，但还不错啦，我觉得还不错，蛮值得一玩的啦。如果你喜欢看剧情文本，是啊，喜欢看剧情的人真的可以买一下，还不错。好了，应该就这样。你看我玩了，他是写2天又2个小时，24、55，但我玩不到70，但是当然了，我玩那么多次，一定有70小时就是了。但是对啊，我没有玩很久真的。看我真的没有玩很久吧。好了，那今天应该先这样了。然后，对，然后应该就这样了。下一款的话，应该会玩《死亡搁浅》啊。会不会开实况我再看啊，对吧？好，就这样。因为《死亡搁浅》，我有点怕我分心啊，但应该就不会了。好了，拜拜。